On this week's episode of the Best of Johnston County Podcast, our guest is Irene Brooks, the owner of No Place Like Home Senior Services right here in Johnston County. We talked to Irene a little bit about her journey to North Carolina from New York, her time as a social worker in Johnston County. She also used to be in the magazine business for a little while, and why she started this senior services program that provides in-home care and placement services for seniors in Johnston County. We also talked a little bit about some of the services that are available and rumors of better programs on their way for Johnston County. So if you're interested in senior care, in-home care, how to maybe find a placement, or what might be coming, listen in.
Welcome to another episode of Best of Johnston County, brought to you by Breeden Law Office. Our host, Jonathan Breeden, an experienced family lawyer with a deep connection to the community, is ready to take you on a journey through the area that he has called home for over 20 years. Whether it's a deep dive into the love locals have for the county or unraveling the complexities of family law, Best of Johnston County presents an authentic slice of this unique community.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Best of Johnston County Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden, and on today's episode, we have the owner of No Place Like Home Senior Services here in Johnston County, Irene Brooks. We're going to talk to Irene a little bit about her journey to Johnston County, why she got into social work, why she decided to start this business, and the services she provides to the seniors in this community. And a lot of it is paid for by Medicare and Medicaid, and you don't have to come out of pocket for some of it. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we get to that, we'd like to ask you to like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you see it, whether it be on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, X, LinkedIn, or any of the other social media channels of Best Johnston County Podcast. Best Johnston County Podcast comes out every single Monday and has now for over 2.5 years. So go back and listen to some of our previous episodes. We've had the vast majority of the county commissioners. We had Congressman Brad Knott. We had local tennis Tim Sims. We had local IT professional Woody Bailey. We've had a lot of great guests. If you love Johnston County as much as I do, this is the podcast for you. Welcome, Irene.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. I think some of what you do is the Lord's work, helping seniors, because I know that there is a shortage of senior care and senior resources, particularly in Johnston County, especially with the growth. But anyway, we'll get into that. Tell the audience who you are, what you do.
Well, I'm Irene Brooks, and I own No Place Like Home Senior Services. And we are a senior in-home agency, but we also do placement. But the real mission behind it is helping people navigate through the journey of senior care, because most people don't know what they don't know, and they get into the senior world and they don't even know where to begin, and they're so overwhelmed. So that's really the main thing that I do.
Okay, well, that's cool. That's cool. So where are you from?
I am from, I apologize, New York.
You sound like you're from New York. I knew the answer to that before I asked it, but anyway.
But I have been here since 1998, and this is home. I've never looked back, really, since the day I got here.
I got you. So where'd you go to school?
I went to Hunter College, and I have a MSW, Master's in Social Work. And so I was a social worker for the Department of Social Services for a while.
Okay, here in Johnston County.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I had to leave when both of my parents got sick, same month, same year. So they were chronically ill. My dad had dementia and stage kidney disease.
Right.
And my mom had congestive heart failure.
Oh, goodness.
So,
that's a lot.
Yeah. So I ended up quitting and staying with them. I worked part-time for a local magazine dedicated to Johnston County as well.
Right, I remember that. I remember those days.
Yeah.
That's, J Now, right?
Yeah,
that's right. I remember. Yeah, that actually wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't.
So anyway,
it wasn't.
Because we always sponsor the J Now Awards every year. That's coming up this summer on July 23rd.
Yes.
So anyway, we sponsor that again, so I think that's great. The Caps, we had Randy Caps on this podcast about a year ago. Go back and listen to that about J Now Media and the J Now Awards, where they recognize people that don't always get recognized recognize, like firefighters and police officers and
Yes.
teachers and artists and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
like the award ceremony for people who don't get awards.
Exactly.
Coach of the year,
Yes.
volunteer of the year, that kind of stuff. So, well, that's cool. That's cool. So when and why did you start No Place Like Home Senior Services?
So when I was taking care of my parents, I just assumed that you work all your life. When it comes time to need resources for senior care, there are.
Right.
And that's not the case.
Right. Well, especially in Johnston County, but in general, and I think there's more resources than people realize. But yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
there are, but what happens is you don't know how to navigate any
Okay.
of that.
Right.
And the reality is that if you have no money, there are resources.
Right.
If you have lots of money, well, you have lots of money.
Right,
so you're okay.
right.
But people in the middle that work 40, 50 years,
Right.
unless they've planned, are really on their own. And
Right.
then what happens is agencies don't tend to talk to each other. So,
Right. No, that's true. You get the silo thing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So I learned, and I'm thinking, because I'm a social worker, I know this, and
Right.
I realized that
You did not
I
know
did
it. You did not know.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. So once my journey with caregiving for my dad ended, I decided that I wanted to kind of be that navigator to help bridge all those agencies. So,
Okay.
So that's what I do.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so after your father passed away, you were like, okay, you realized that there was a lack of services in this community, and even you as a social worker didn't know where everything was. Is that right? And so is that why you decided to start what you started?
I did. I also saw that there was not consistency in the quality of care.
Okay,
in, in the community. And so that was also very important. So I just started telling people, I'll talk to anyone. I won't charge. I'll just, give you step A, B, and C.
Okay.
And so that became a thing. And then I realized that I could actually get paid for it. And I started my agency.
Okay, cool. All right. So what does the agency do?
We go into people's homes and we help them with their activities of daily living. But what's different about what we do is that we go beyond tasks, right? When you think about somebody doing activities of daily living, you're thinking bathing, dressing, feeding, things like that. Well, there's a quality of life component that often gets missed. And so we're really big on quality of life. Mom is not a plant that you put in front of the window and, you have to have the best life that you can beyond, regardless of diagnosis, right? So you think, well, mom has dementia, so, she can't do this, but she can do other things. So what we do is we discover what mom can do and we expand on that and we engage and we create activities. We have technology that we employ so that they can do what they can do, enjoy what they can do, and then we can support them with the things that they can't do.
Okay, so how does this technology work?
So it's an incredible piece of technology called CareLink 360, and it's a unit kind of like, those frames that have the digital pictures? Yeah, so it looks like that, but it has music that you can download. It has music built in, but if your mom likes, polka music, you can download the polka music.
Okay.
But it has brain games, it has exercises, it has nutrition information. All abilities can do it. So if somebody has really advanced dementia, if they can do this with their finger, they can color something. So it's really robust, but the cool part about it is that it's giving you a stay-at-home safe score. So say, for instance, mom is doing these puzzles or these games at a level of 70, right? And then we start seeing it going to 60, 50. So we can look, now family has access to this, we have access to this, and we can say, is there a UTI? Is it progression of disease? Is there something that we need to do differently? So it gives us a lot of information, but to mom and the caregiver, they're just playing games. But it tells a whole lot. So one of the complaints that I've heard of people that have had in-home caregivers is that mom's in front of the TV, caregiver's on her phone.
Yep.
right? And that is a challenge. So this piece of technology also takes care of that. If there's a bit of downtime where there's no housekeeping going on or no bathing, or we can pull this out, and there's hours and hours and hours of things that this person can do, or the caregiver can do with your person. And so it's helping them, but it's also making sure that the time you're paying for is being utilized.
Right. Okay. Because I know I know you provide dementia care. This machine is part of the dementia care program that y'all provide.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And you also do respite.
Yes.
I heard you speak about respite at a BNI group we were at not too long ago. Talk about what respite care is, and that I think Medicare provides for it and stuff like that.
Yeah. So respite care is really, really important. Most of us that take care of family members are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If mom and dad get up at 3 a.m. thinking that it's 9 a.m, you're up with them to keep them safe. And then you go to work, or you know. So caregiver fatigue or burnout is very, very common. So Medicare has created a program called the GUIDE program. And it is for people that have a diagnosis of dementia, and you'll get the equivalent of about 80 hours of respite care that you can use in 4-hour increments or longer. And Medicare is going to pay the provider directly for that. So if you imagine being able to take 4 hours a week off or 8 hours a week off so that you can do stuff outside of taking care of your person, that really gives you that moment to, you know, refresh yourself so that you can come back and be the best caregiver that you can.
So is that 80 hours total, 80 hours a year?
It's a year.
A year.
So
okay.
For instance, right now it's a fiscal year. So right now, if somebody, a true story, is starting with care using respite, July 1st, they get another 80 hours.
Okay.
So, you know, it's not June 1st, July 1st. Sorry.
July 1st, right.
July 1st.
Yeah, fiscal year.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Well, that's cool. That's cool. So what can you do for the gap? We talked about this earlier. There's plenty if you're poor, and there's plenty if you're rich. But for the middle class person, you know, where are the gaps? How do you fill it? What does it cost?
Okay. So there's things that I do, like I'll ask them if they're a veteran. People forget, you know, oh, there's veteran benefits, not just through the VA, but there's a program called Aid and Attendance. So if you are a veteran or a spouse of a veteran that served 1 day in wartime, you may be eligible for Aid and Attendance, where the VA sends you money for in-home care.
Okay.
There's also long-term care insurance. I tell all of my people, like, the time to get your long-term care insurance is, you know, when you're 40, 50. If you're 80, it's too late. But we have lots of people that have been paying 20, 30 years for long-term care, but the adult children don't know. So I asked them, I said, find out if there's long-term care insurance. And they're like, oh, I didn't know. Long-term care will pay a certain daily amount for your care. So it possibly can be no out-of-pocket for you or much less out-of-pocket. They have to pay and then get reimbursed, but we facilitate that. So that's another program. There's, you know, so also, you know, your person has Parkinson's or dementia, or there's different organizations that have assistance when, you know, when appropriate.
Okay.
So,
well, that's cool.
yeah.
That's cool.
Have family law questions? Need guidance to navigate legal challenges? The compassionate team at Breeden Law Office is here to help. Visit us at www.breedenfirm.com for practical advice, resources, or to book a consultation. Remember, when life gets messy, you don't have to face it alone.
So now Medicaid, which you have to, I guess, be below a certain poverty level. I mean, it's now like a lot more than just the regular poverty level.
Right.
We'll pay for in-home services, but Medicare will not. I'm correct about that, right?
Right.
Okay, and Medicare is what everybody over 65 in the United States gets, and then
Right.
there are different levels of Medicare depending on what you want to pay for.
Right.
But Medicare doesn't provide for home health. But you do have a lot of clients who just pay you for their in-home services, correct?
Yes,
Right,
absolutely.
okay. So what does that cost?
It depends on the level of care.
Okay.
And I try to be transparent about it because, people say, well, no, I can't tell you a price until,
Right,
that's crazy, right?
Right.
But we do everything from companionship, where you're taking mom to the hairdresser to get her nails done. It's hands-off companionship.
Okay.
And that will start maybe $31, $32 an hour.
Okay.
All the way up to someone who's bedbound. They need to be changed. They have a lift to move them.
Right.
That's going to be closer to $40 an hour.
Okay.
We do 24-hour care, and if that's the case, then we do a daily rate, which provides some savings. Not a whole lot.
Right.
This is not a cheap service. And honestly, if it's cheap, it's probably not good. I hate to say it like that.
You're right.
But,
you're right.
I've seen people like on Facebook saying, hey, does anyone know just a lady, and the lady may be lovely and fantastic.
Right.
But if she doesn't have a license, if she doesn't have insurance, there's a lot that can go wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And then you could sort of put a combination of these programs. Like you could put some of the things Medicare does, if you qualify for Medicaid, some of the things Medicaid does with some out-of-pocket expense, and you could sort of try to make it work.
Right.
Because, I know that you work really hard to try to meet people where they are.
Exactly. And that's what I do. I dig in to see, sometimes I ask really sensitive questions, but to try to, extract where we can get little nuggets of money, right? There are some Medicare supplement plans that'll pay for 56 hours a year, right? That's not a lot, but that's 56 hours that you don't have to pay for.
Right.
So, so we're figuring it out. So also, if you have Medicaid, you can also get that respite program. So there are things that you can,
Right.
It's not really double dipping,
Right.
but it's, maximizing.
Right. Well, another service that you provide is you help people find out-of-home placements.
Yes.
Talk about that. I don't even know if you can charge for that, but anyway.
So, right. So the way that works is being at home is usually best because it's safest. You have better outcomes. 85% of people want to be home, but it's not always possible. It can be a safety issue. It can be an elopement issue. I've had people walking down the highway, and that's, really dangerous. So if being at home is not the right thing, I'll help them find an assisted living, independent living, residential care homes, skilled nursing, and it does not cost the family anything for me to help them. I do get a referral fee from the location. Not every place pays a referral fee, but that doesn't stop me from, really seeing the person and the type of care that they need and making the right recommendations, because it all works out,
Right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, and using somebody like you, who I'm assuming you're familiar with all of the facilities in the area.
Right.
You know which ones are better, which ones are worse.
Yeah.
You know the intake coordinators, and they're going to want to make you happy because you're a referral source,
Right.
Versus just somebody just showing up. So,
Right.
And I guess you probably know what the strengths and or weaknesses of each of these different facilities are.
Exactly. Sometimes you can walk into a place and there's chandeliers and waterfalls and, but they've changed management 3 times in the last year. That's not a place that you want to risk putting your loved one in. And I give that information. Sometimes it's not the popular information, but I have to be super honest. And I say, if it's not good enough for me to put my parent in, I'm not going to recommend it for you to put your parent in.
Right.
So
that's a good point. That's
yeah.
a good point. Did your parents have to go somewhere?
No.
They did not. Okay.
Yeah, I moved to my parents' subdivision across the street, and I used to go to my parents' house every day to hook my dad to his dialysis. So, and then I'd go every night, plug him in, go in the morning, take
Okay.
it off. And yeah, so that's how we handled it. And my mom is still across the street.
Oh, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know I've heard you speak. You go give speeches. That's also part of the business. Talk a little bit about that. And I think that's what you enjoy the most, I think.
It really is.
So talk about the education part of your business, because I know that is it's the reason you started the business, if nothing else.
Right. Most people enter the time of taking care of their parents not even knowing what they don't know. So education is the biggest part of what I do, because if you're sitting there going, I'm going to get fired, or I'm going to get written up again because I've been late, or I've had to leave work, or I've had, I was in the ER till 5 o'clock in the morning and I couldn't go to work. And they're like at the end of their wits and they don't even know who to ask. So I love going to civic groups, churches, anywhere that women's groups are great as well. And really just giving some education on things that they can do to take care of themselves, take care of their parents, options that they have, because caregiving for an ailing loved one is a family thing. Families will break up over it.
Oh, believe me. I completely understand that. So let's talk a little bit about we've had several people over the years on this podcast. We had somebody else doing what you do from Smithfield last year. We had the head of JCATS on the podcast about 6-7 months ago. So what services are out there for seniors in Johnston County? I know we have the senior centers. There's a meal at lunch most days. Yep. What services are you aware of that people can tap into?
So the Council on Aging, and I know they changed their names, and it's just leaving my mind, in Smithfield is incredible. They have so many things. If you call them and you talk to them, you can find out a lot of things. There's even for people that really, really need somebody there for X amount of time, they have some agencies that'll work with them at a really reduced rate. So there's everything. Like I've had them deliver bags of like supplies that most people with an elderly loved one needs, gauze and, gloves. And like, so they do such good work. And I don't think people realize how much work they do. They also have support groups through the Council of Aging for people. They have one in Clayton at the Senior Center, and they also have one in Smithfield once a month. So I would definitely reach out to them. The Meals on Wheels is an incredible program, not only for meals, but some people don't see another person until they see the person delivering their meals. Yep. And loneliness is actually as deadly as smoking 10 packs of cigarettes. People don't realize that loneliness can kill you. So having that friendly face come in, that's a life changer.
Yeah, I've delivered Meals on Wheels before, and I like to talk, right? And so I got off schedule, and and they're calling me, and I'm like, yeah, I just can't not talk. Like I get to talking to these people, telling stories, and like, but the meal's gotta be at a certain temperature, and you need to get a sex place, and I was just like, I mean, in some ways I was a good Meals on Wheels volunteer, in other ways I was bad because I was not on schedule, because I just start talking and I love to meet people. Like I should get back in it and get me better about staying on schedule. They didn't fire me, but they were like, if you keep doing this, you got to be on the schedule. Because I've been like, I've never met a stranger. You haven't either. Right. You know what I mean? It was so much fun. But look, I mean, while we're talking about senior services, JCATS is out there. It's free or just a few dollars, but mainly free. Mm-hmm. We'll pick you up, take you to medical appointments, take you where you need to go. You just call JCATS. Mm-hmm. They got new buses now. Yeah. He was talking about that when he was on here. We had the director a few months ago. And then, of course, if you're in Smithfield and Selma, they now have quick rides, which is like Uber for Smithfield, Selma. And it's like $6 to go anywhere in Smithfield and Selma. And they're looking to expand that later in 2026 into Clayton. And so that is a way to get around as well. JCATS is tremendous. It's exploding. That's out there to help get your family member to and from their medical appointments and stuff like that. So there's stuff out there I think people need to be aware of. It's part of one of the reasons I want to have you on here, is that we're trying to let people know that there are people to provide these services, but you got to reach out and ask. You got to ask questions. You got to do research, that kind of stuff. So do you see anything? Is there anything new coming down the horizon for senior services in Johnston County? I know there's been talk of trying to do a senior center in Benson. I don't have a ton of momentum, but have you seen anything coming?
So there's a rumor that there is a day program being created here in like the 4042 area.
Okay.
And that, I have people all the time asking me if I know of a day program, and there are, but they're, Wake Forest, Durham, Cary, there's nothing in this area. So whoever is doing that will be very, very successful.
Right. Well, that would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great. I mean, I think about the success Able to Serve has as a day program for adults with disabilities.
Yes.
And we had Carlton Daniel on this podcast probably 18 months ago now.
Right.
And and so you got that, and it would be great to have something like that for seniors where they go interact with people, be supervised, have a meal, stuff like that. Yeah, right. I'm glad to hear that. I've not heard that rumor, so that's great. I might have to make a few calls to see if I can find out if that's actually going to happen. So anyway, well, that's great. Well, the last question we ask everybody first thing is, how can people reach out to you?
They can call our office. I'm pretty findable.
You have a great website, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I personally enjoy your website.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So we're reachable through my office, online, social media.
So what's your website?
It's www.noplacelikehomennc, like North Carolina.com.
Okay, and what's your phone number?
919-762-0035.
I got you. And you're taking new clients every day?
Every single day.
Every day. All right.
Yes.
The last question we ask everybody on this podcast, what do you love most about Johnston County?
Wow, it's home. It's been home since the day I got here. And my husband and I actually talk about it's so cool to be able to see like your child's teacher in the supermarket. Or, even though we are growing, but it still has that homey feel where you know your community. And I love that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The people are pretty good too, and that's what makes it feel like home, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Even if we have a lot of people from New York.
I know. I apologize. I married a North Carolina boy, and my kids say, "What are you fitting to do?" versus, "What are you doing?"
That's awesome. Anyway, I'd like to thank Irene Brooks for being our guest on this week's episode of the Best of Johnston County Podcast. As we mentioned earlier, please like, follow, subscribe to this podcast wherever you see it. Give us a 5-star review down below. Tag us in your Instagram stories, Best of Johnston County. Until next time, I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden.
That's the end of today's episode of Best of Johnston County, a show brought to you by the trusted team at Breeden Law Office. We thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to sharing more interesting facets of this community next week. Every story, every viewpoint adds another thread to the rich tapestry of Johnston County. If the legal aspects highlighted raise some questions, help is just around the corner at www.breedenfirm.com.